Greetings, my excellent friends.
Hey, what's going on, guys? Thanks again for tuning in to Poor Boys RC, another episode of Throwback Thursday, where today on the Throwback Thursday bench, we've got the beautiful Kyosho Turbo Optima. And yes, for all you purists out there, this is indeed an original 1986 kit number 3130 Kyosho Turbo Optima. Now, you may be looking at it, noticing some things don't exactly jive from the original, i.e. the shock absorbers. We're going to dive into that in a quick second. But this is an original unit that has some modernized parts on it just due to wear and tear over the years. And this actually belongs to one of you subscribers out there. So thank you so much for lending this to the channel so we can take a really close look at it and dive into this and share it with the rest of the viewers out here to enjoy. You don't see these come up too often.
I can see the sky.
So giving this buggy a quick overview, guys, it's a four-wheel drive buggy, but this one's very unique in the sense that it is chain-driven, not belt-driven, not prop shaft. There is a big old legit chain driving this thing. We're going to take the body off in a little bit and take a closer look at that, but that is super duper rad. It's built on an aluminum double-decker chassis, which again I'm going to dive into. It's got gorgeous Kyosho Sand Super tires on there. Really sweet looking body. And in fact, speaking of bodies, this was the original that it came with. And talk about 1986 retro designs. Definitely seen some good use over the decades. But this thing is just super rad to look at. I love the stripes on it. Got some aluminum tape on the inside there to help protect it. 'Cause you know this thing definitely had some hard miles put on it over the years. So right from Kyosho, this thing would have come with the Le Mans 240S motor, which is a highly coveted motor these days. Pretty tough to come by at a reasonable price anyway. But it would have come with a brushed motor, mechanical speed controller. You'd have to supply your own radio electronics, all that kind of thing. But one really neat thing about this is you notice how wide this body is. It was actually that wide to be able to fit an 8.4 volt nickel metal hydride or NiCad battery in here, which I think is pretty cool. An 8.4 volt battery, that's an extra 1.2 volts. I mean, there's a lot of extra juice in one of these things when you add that extra cell. So that was a huge, huge power adder to move some of these big, heavy rigs. And speaking of big, heavy rig, let's take a really nice close look at this thing and appreciate the artistry and the design concepts of this thing, because it is just such a unique, gorgeous buggy. The Kyosho Turbo Optima basically shares the same chassis as the Optima Pro, the Javelin, and the Salute. It's an alloy ladder frame, double deck chassis, chain driven, which is super duper rad. The front and rear differentials are gear type. We've got oil filled coil spring shocks on all four corners. Now in this model, they're red. These are replacement units. It would have actually come with gold oil filled dampers from the factory. And again, on this model, it's been modified somewhat to be up to today's standards. So it is featuring electronic speed controller, but originally would have come with a manual speed controller. And again, one of my favorite design elements of this chassis in particular is just the simplicity of it. It's very long, it's very narrow, and again, it allowed the use of an 8.4 volt nickel metal hydride battery. Now let me show you how that would work. This is a 2S LiPo. I don't have any 8.4 volt nickel metal hydrides on me, but you can get the idea. This is basically the same size as a conventional 6-cell nickel metal hydride or NiCad pack of the day would have been. And we've got these adjustable zap straps here, and you simply slide your battery in, just like that, easy peasy. And with this extra wide body on here, You can see just how much room you have there. Easily stuff another cell in there. That is pretty cool. That would have been a huge power upgrade over the other guys back in the 80s that were using a 6-cell battery. So with 4-wheel independent suspension, 4-wheel drive, chain-driven transmission, no slipper clutch in the back, Le Mans 240S, brushed motor, 8.4 volts of juice. This thing was a contender back on the racetracks back in the day. By today's standards, you have to do a lot to this to make it really competitive. I wouldn't recommend racing one in the modern world, but to get out there and have some fun with it on a local track with some friends, this would be an awesome buggy to have in action. How cool would that be? And the good news is it has been re-released. You can still pick these up. They were released in 2019, I believe, from Kyosho. So you can go out and get one of these and not have to worry about damaging a vintage one and not being able to find replacement parts, all that kind of jazz. So that's kind of cool.
If I open up my arms, I can see the skies. I can see the sky. See the sky. See the sky.
So that's it for today's episode of Throwback Thursday, guys. Please give me a like if you enjoyed the video. Subscribe if you haven't already. It means a lot to us YouTube content creators. And thanks again to Simon for lending me his Turbo Optima so I could share it with you guys on the channel and get a closer look at this amazing retro buggy. Thanks again for watching, guys. And as always, be excellent to each other.